What's up everyone and welcome to the channel. So today it's going to be a little different than the usual vlogs. I get a lot of questions asking me what all I use for vlogging, what I use for my stream setup, and I definitely get a lot of questions about my audio. So today I'm going to kind of run you through my entire rig, what I use for vlogging, streaming, all of that good stuff. But also, this company called KILLABEE sent me a new gaming chair. So after I run you guys through the whole rig setup, we're gonna do a little unboxing and put this chair together and see how it is. And not only that, but the little pillow that comes with this chair has a built-in back massager. And if you sit at your computer all day, you know that it is absolutely murder on your back. So I'm gonna run you guys through the rig, then we're gonna put this bad boy together, review it, see how it is, what cameras I use for vlogging, exactly how I have my audio and everything set up, the capture cards I use, the cameras I use, what lights I use in the back, how I get them to interact with the stream just like this anytime someone says anything in chat, and how I record music while streaming. Everything's going to be included in here, so I'll try to make it as quick as possible while also being as thorough as possible. If you want to check out or get any of the gear that I mentioned in this video, I will have a link in the description listing all of the products there. And if you guys enjoy the video and you find it useful, do me a favor and hit that like button, maybe drop a sub. I would appreciate it more than you know. It helps keep the lights on. Also, just a little warning before we continue, I'm rerouting a couple things and redoing my cable management, so I've got a lot of my zip ties loose and there's a couple of little wire spider webs around here. So if you guys see them, don't judge me too hard. I'm getting there. But without me blabbing anymore, let's get started. So we'll start with the question that I probably get the most out of anything, and that's what cameras do I use for vlogging and streaming? So the camera that you're looking at right here is the SonyA5100 with a 16-50 lens on it. This camera is primarily just used for streaming. I've used it vlogging a couple times, but it has really poor image stabilization. So if you're walking around with it on a tripod and you don't have a gimbal or something, you're gonna get a lot of shake and a lot of vibration. Although I absolutely love the way the camera looks, it's just not very good for my style of vlogging. You know, I may be running, walking, climbing up a mountain, and this is the type of camera that can't really take too much of a beating. This camera that you're looking at right here is my main vlogging camera. This is a Canon G7x Mark 1, and this thing is an absolute tank. Hands down the best vlogging camera I have ever used in my life. This camera has been put through the absolute ringer and has stood the test of time. I've had it now for, man, probably 3-4 years, something like that, and it has been dropped down mountains. Westboro Baptist Church yanked it out of my hand and spike it on the ground this one time when I was trying to film them, and man, it has stood the test of time whenever it did get spiked. And I mean, this thing got like football Gronkowski spiked onto cement, and the only thing that happened is the little latch right here, it broke, so it won't stay shut, and if this doesn't stay shut, the camera powers off. But all I did was just put a little hair tie on it, as you can see right here, and it works like a charm. I haven't really felt the need to upgrade it right now. I always kind of look at it as, do I really need to spend this extra money to upgrade this, or does this still work fine? And the quality is great, the build is great, so I'm going to ride on this Mark 1 until it finally kicks the bucket. Also, I'll use this GoPro Hero Black 5 right here. I also use this whenever I'm not traveling or whatever. This is primarily also a vlogging camera, which I hook to a capture card. I will get to what capture card I use in just a few. On my stream, I do a lot of like model builds and things like that, so I use the GoPro as kind of a secondary camera just to kind of show like a really close-up of builds, what I'm doing with my hand, as you can see here. So it just ends up being a nifty little addition to the whole stream setup. And then as far as what software I use to edit my footage, all of my editing is done exclusively in Adobe Premiere. It is one of the best editing softwares that I've found. I've used Final Cut and other things, but I love Adobe. I love the entire Adobe library, Illustrator, Photoshop, After Effects. I use it all. So I can't really say enough about the Adobe programs. I've been using them pretty much my entire life, so switching to something else is just kind of weird now. Now for my PC, I'll go ahead and run you guys through the stock specs, and then I've added a couple things to it, but really not that much. The case is an NZXT H500. The cooling is a CryoRig H7. Motherboard is ASRock Z390 Pro 4. For my graphics card, I have an NVIDIA GeForce RTX. The weakest component of my entire computer is the processor. I have an Intel Core i5-9400. My power supply is a Seasonic S12-650. RAM is 16 gigabyte T-Force Delta. And for the hard drive, it is a Samsung 500 gigabyte Evo. And like I said earlier, the weakest part of my PC is the processor, which I plan on upgrading soon. So I also needed some more RAM just to kind of let my computer breathe a little bit. So doing a little bit of future proofing, I also added 32 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance Pro RAM 3200. I just went ahead and stuck it in with the RAM that was already in there. So right now I'm running around like 48 gigabytes of RAM, which is really, I don't really need that much, but with the motherboard and the processor I have now, that high-powered RAM, it's really not gonna do much. So I went ahead and got that and just added it with the sticks that are in there now. But whenever I upgrade to a new motherboard and a new processor, I will probably replace the RAM that the computer came with and either just keep these 2 sticks of the Corsair, or I'll just add 2 more sticks of the Corsair 3200s. I also added a Western Digital 4 terabyte hard drive to it because 500 gigabytes in this day and age with games running almost 200 gigabytes themselves just wasn't going to cut it. And then my keyboard is the Rocket Vulcan 122 IMO, and my mouse is the Rocket Cone IMO Remastered. I also have a 2016 13-inch MacBook Pro that I have wired into my setup as well, that I do all of my music and audio recording in. And then as far as audio goes, I'm using a Shure SM7B microphone, which goes into a cloud lifter, which then goes into a GOXLR Mini. And for headphones, I use the SteelSeries Arctic 7s. Now, you don't need a cloud lifter with the GOXLR or the GOXLR Mini, but having used one, I found that it helps with my voice. So everyone's voice with these microphones is going to be different. You're going to tune it different, and I found that the cloud lifter really kind of elevates the deeps and the mid tones. It also really helps to be able to really dial in your noise gate to really cancel out all the excess noise that this microphone can pick up. And then as far as noise gates, compressors, equalization, all of it's done right here in the GoXLR app. For my streaming software, I use OBS. I've used Streamlabs OBS and a bunch of different programs, but this one never gives me any problems. I can do really anything that I want in here. It allows me to capture everything that I need to capture. Everything's very neat and organized. It's all up to preference though. Some people like Streamlabs OBS better. Some people like different streaming softwares. OBS is just the thing that works the best for me. I also use an Elgato Stream Deck for streaming. You can use this not just for streaming, but for anything. You can hotkey Illustrator things to it. You can hotkey Premiere Pro, pretty much anything that you want. It allows me to switch scenes. It has my built-in soundboard, so if I want to use any sort of sounds while I'm streaming, I can switch between my different scenes. I can roll my credits. It has commands listed. I can also control my Wi-Fi lights through it. The Stream Deck and the GoXLR are probably the most 2 valuable pieces of my entire setup. Then for recording music or streaming myself, recording or jamming or anything, I have a Focusrite Scarlett Solo, which is hooked to the MacBook. And then using the audio out from the Focusrite Solo, that goes into the line in of the GoXLR. So anything that is played, any audio that comes out of the MacBook will also be played through the speakers of my main computer. So if I get tired of streaming games or builds or whatever, I can just jump on and jam, and you can hear everything straight through the PC. Excuse my ridiculously sloppy playing. I am no means a pro. I just play as a hobby. And then as far as capturing the Mac screen and getting it to PC, I was using a capture card for a while. I also use a program called a Power Mirror. So you can AirPlay your Mac screen straight to your Windows with absolutely no lag, and it doesn't take up a ton of CPU or anything. So people can kind of see what I'm doing and how I'm editing live on stream. And now that we're on the subject of capture cards, most people, when they think think of a good quality capture card, they're thinking of something like this, the Elgato HD60. But as you probably know, the Elgato capture cards, the external and the internal, they can run a ton. And then if you run into issues with it, which is very common for capture cards to kind of crap out on you or start glitching, it's really a kind of a pain to pay, you know, $200-300 for another capture card. Now, if you have the money to get a really expensive capture card, whether it's Elgato or these other brands, I would highly recommend doing it, because these cheaper capture cards that I'm going to tell you about and that I use frequently, they're really awesome, but they also have some drawbacks and you have to be very careful. So the biggest thing that you want to do is always read the reviews, because a lot of these capture cards will say that they're USB 3.0, but all they've really done is just paint the import jack blue so it looks like a 3.0, but it's a 2.0. And then some will say that they broadcast at 1080p. They don't. And then some will say they capture at 60 frames per second. And what I found is most of these cheaper cards max out at 30 FPS, maybe 45 if you're lucky. I've bought a absolute shit ton of them, and this is the one right here that I use for pretty much everything. I have like 4 of these things, and man, they are absolutely great. And for 18 bucks, you can't beat it. Now, everything that you're seeing right now is being captured using one of these capture cards, and it's obviously not fully 60 FPS. It looks good, but it's not 60 FPS. But just capturing my webcam for streams, I'm not that worried about it. But again, if you want full 60 FPS and above, definitely you're gonna have to pay the money for it. But if you just want something that's gonna capture an image that you can bounce on stream, or want a cheap alternative to the very expensive capture cards, I can't say enough about these cards right here, because they're super simple. You plug it in, the driver immediately installs, you hook whatever to it, and then boom, you're good. I've used them to capture just about everything just to see how they go. They work great with webcams, and obviously my GoPro is hooked into one of these. Now, if you're wanting something to capture like PlayStation, Xbox, they'll work, but again, remember that they're capped at 30 FPS. Even if they say different, for 20 bucks, you are not going to get a capture card that is full 1080p or above, 60 FPS or above. It's just not going to happen. But for the price that they are, you can't beat it. If you're on a budget and just want to be able to capture a window of something where you're not really that worried about the FPS or anything like that, these, man, you just can't go wrong with it. And then for the last part of my setup that I'm going to tell you guys about, we're going to switch it over to my actual stream screen that people see on Twitch or YouTube or wherever I stream to. The lights that I use in the back are GoVee Wi-Fi smart lights. So say I'm streaming and someone follows, the lights will do this. It doesn't just work with notifications. While you're streaming, your audience can change the color of the lights. They can have certain bit redemptions to change colors of lights. It really adds a nice interactive layer to the stream for people to play with while I'm streaming, you know, whatever I'm streaming. And as far as how to get all of that linked to your stream and how to get it all interacting, I use a program called Lumia Stream. As you can see here, I have it connected to Twitch, YouTube. All of my lights are connected here as well. You can go into the studio and you can make custom scenes and custom colors for your stream. You can dictate exactly how you want the lights to flash, how fast you want them to flash, what each thing does for what. Every single alert is completely customizable. So for Twitch, YouTube, Streamlabs, OBS, TreatStream, pretty much anything you want to hook to this thing, you can. So you can set exactly what colors, how fast, all of that stuff right into Lumia Stream. So when people are in your stream, it kind of just gives it a little extra layer of interactivity for them, and it just looks really cool. And with that, I think we are at the end of my entire setup. I think I covered everything. Again, all the products will be listed down in the description. I just kind of wanted to show you guys what I use for stream and how everything's kind of wired together and hooked up. I didn't really want to get into the functionality of all these pieces and, you know, what exactly they do. If you guys have any questions or want me to make an additional video on how exactly this stuff works, my settings and all of it, I can do that as well. But for time constraints, I wanted to kind of keep this one pretty streamlined and just show the gear that I use and kind of give you guys an idea of how it's all set up, how I'll have it ran. But if you want a more in detail explanation, you can leave a question in the comments, or you can leave a bunch and I'll just make another video showing all of my settings and exactly what everything does. Now that that's all out of the way, it is time for our unboxing and review of this KILLABEE / Von Racer gaming chair. This is the 9015 gray and black version, which again, the link is in the description to this chair if you want to get it for yourself. So we're gonna switch over to the vlogging camera and get to unboxing this bad boy. All right, let's see what's in this bad boy. Foam. We got the back of our chair. Sick. Again, I've been looking for a chair that maybe a bit better than this one. And also, if you can tell over here, kind of my whole aesthetic is like gray and black, white and black, with all of this going on here. And so this chair will kind of match things a little better. And like I said, it has a massager in it. So very stoked for that. So let's pull all this stuff out and get this bad boy assembled. 2 pillows. This is the one that is the massager. Look at this. It also came with a nice pair of grippy hamburger helper gloves. Never seen that in a chair before, but hey. So I already really love this right here. It's a simple feature, but really cool. So you can flip out the leg rest, put it close as you want, but if it's not in use, you just flip it, tuck it back right underneath there. That's pretty rad because that'll save me space. So I have ran into a little, not really an issue, but I think it's more so a misprint in the directions. So Von Racer / KILLABEE, you may want to fix this. It's saying to use these bolts right here for the back, but yeah, these bolts just do not fit into the back. As you can see, this is a pretty wide bolt, and that hole is just not big enough to get this thing in. So I'm pretty sure it's these other bolts right here, and it's just a misprint on the directions. So not a huge deal, but maybe just make a little manufacturer note. You might want to fix the manual, because where it's saying to use the 7 bolts in the back of this, the 7 bolts do not fit that. But then if you look through the rest of the pages, the ones I'm using now are labeled as 16, and these fit in perfectly. And then if you look in the rest of the manual, there's no other 16s ever. So I think they just got that messed up, so not that big of a deal, but might be confusing for some people who are afraid of putting it together wrong. But hell, if I do put it together wrong, we'll just take it back apart again and re-put it back together. It's not that big of a deal. For the actual back massager, it's powered by USB. I probably won't plug it into my kind of main hub over here. I'll probably just kind of plug this into a USB thing in the wall. Wish this was like a rechargeable pack. That would be way cooler if it was like took batteries or just recharged, but I mean, can't complain. Moment of truth time. Oh, that's nice. See how far back we can lean, and hopefully I don't die. This thing basically goes flat. All right, let's test the massager out. Let's see how this is. It's definitely not like a professional grade massager. It's like a light vibration. I mean, it's nice. I could totally fall asleep in this thing if I was just chilling here and had this on. Pretty nice. This is definitely it feels way more roomy than my last one. It's a lot better. I like the arms on this one. They sit a bit lower than my other one, so they won't really get in the way of playing guitar as much as that chair does. Massager, it's nothing to write home about, honestly. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice little extra to be there. I'm sure it'll feel like if I'm streaming for 5-6 hours, I'm sure that's gonna, any sort of vibration is gonna feel great. But yeah, the vibration isn't that great. So yeah, overall, pretty rad little chair. Feels good when you lean back. I really like the leg rest. I love how this thing basically just goes flat. Like, I'm leaving, guys. Bye. I'm going to bed. Bye. I am kind of bummed by this monstrous gash though.
That's a pretty hefty size hole there, wood chips, all sorts of stuff in it. If I can't get a replacement or whatever, I'm just gonna have to get some like fabric glue and kind of just shut this together, because that'll end up being huge just sitting here and my guitar scraping across it and what have you.
Got a couple different modes on the massager too. It goes from like low to high, and then like a pulse, lower pulse, I guess. Yeah, but it's nothing like, you're not gonna get a deep tissue massage. I mean, I dig it. I like how it matches my overall color scheme. Quality control is something they need to look out for. Manual was wrong in a couple parts about the bolts. Nothing too terrible to figure out, but something the manufacturer should probably take a look at and work on fixing. I do dig it. It's very roomy. It's very broad. That chair back there is way more narrow. This one does have, it has a way better butt cushion than that one does. It's a very comfortable chair if you are on a budget and you want something. And now my cat or dog has their own chair that they can just chill in back there while I do my work. But if we're just going off looks, general build quality and comfort and all that, if it didn't have the kind of giant gash in the arm, I would give it probably a 7.5. This is a pretty comfortable chair. Really nice. I like how it locks, so you can bring it back and lock it into place if you want. The massager, while it's not very strong, is a very nice added bonus, and I'm sure whenever I'm streaming, it's gonna be great whenever I've been sitting here editing or streaming and something for many hours. Huge thank you to KILLABEE/Von Racer for sending me this chair. If you guys want to get one for yourself, the link to purchase it is in the description, and if you want 10 bucks off, all you gotta do is use code SYSTIC1 at checkout for $10 off this chair. But again, thank you guys so much for checking out the video. I hope you liked the rig run through. Again, if you guys have any questions or want me to go into further detail about what each piece of gear does and all of that good stuff, you can just leave the questions in the comments below. If it's something simple enough, I'll probably just reply there. But if you would like a more in-depth answer, or I get a lot of people asking about certain things, I'll just make another video kind of explaining exactly what each piece of this gear does, my settings, and all of that good stuff. And again, if you liked the video, if you don't mind, please hit the like button, maybe drop a subscribe, and then hit the little bell so you don't miss any notifications moving forward. You guys are the absolute best. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna take a nap and get my back massage now. Y'all be good to each other. I love you all. I'll see you on the next one. Later.